I thought he was just a cab driver until he took me home. The rain was relentless that night. Emma stood on the sidewalk, soaked to the bone. Her umbrella had flipped inside out, and her phone had died just minutes ago. She was stranded in a part of the city she didn't recognize, her nerves worn thin after a long, exhausting dinner party that went terribly wrong. The street was nearly empty. Only a few dim streetlights flickered above, and water pooled at her feet. She had never felt this alone. Then, from around the corner, a yellow cab approached, slow, steady, almost as if it had been waiting for her. She stepped forward and waved, desperately. The cab stopped. Emma yanked the door open and slid into the back seat, shivering. Her voice was urgent but tired. "Please, just take me home." The driver didn't turn round. His cap was pulled low, and his coat collar was high. "Where to?" he asked, his voice quiet and oddly calm. "Redcliffe Apartments, near 8th Street, she replied, hugging her arms around herself. Without a word, he started driving. At first, Emma felt relief. The heater hummed quietly, and the sound of the rain on the roof was almost soothing. Her eyelids grew heavy. She leaned her head against the cool glass window. But 10 minutes passed, then 15. She noticed something strange. They hadn't taken the highway entrance. She frowned and leaned forward slightly. "You missed the turn." No response. She spoke louder. The freeway entrance was back there. The driver remained silent, both hands gripping the wheel. Emma's stomach tightened. She sat up straighter, alert now. "This isn't the way," she said again, her voice sharp. Still nothing. She reached into her bag for her phone, then remembered it was dead. Her heart rate began to rise. She stared out the window. Nothing. Looked familiar. They were heading through industrial areas now, warehouses and shuttered buildings passing by like ghosts. "I said, where are we going?" she demanded, panic rising in her throat. The driver finally spoke. "I'm taking you home." Emma's voice shook. "I told you Redcliffe Apartments." He chuckled softly. "That's not where you belong." That one sentence made her blood run cold. She tried the door locked. The windows wouldn't roll down either. Her heart slammed against her chest. "What do you mean? Let me out," she cried, hitting the window. He didn't flinch. He just kept driving. The streets got darker. Streetlights vanished. Trees began to replace buildings. The cab's headlights cut through a thickening fog. Emma's breathing grew shallow. She felt trapped, helpless. "Who are you?" she shouted. "Why are you doing this?" No reply. After what felt like an eternity, the cab slowed and turned onto a dirt road, leading toward a small broken-down house in the middle of nowhere. The car stopped. Emma stared in horror. The house was old, boards over the windows, paint peeling, the front door hanging half off its hinges. It looked abandoned. "Why are we here?" she whispered. The driver turned off the engine. Slowly, he removed his cap and finally turned to face her. Emma's breath caught in her throat. His face, she had seen it before, in an old photo, on the corner of her mother's dresser when she was a child. A man with tired eyes, a strong jaw, and a deep scar under his left cheek. It wasn't just any man. Her voice cracked. "You, I've seen you before." He gave a small nod. "You have. I'm not a stranger, Emma. I'm the reason your mother left everything behind." Her hands trembled. Her thoughts raced, but nothing made sense. "What are you talking about?" "I'm the man she never wanted you to find," he said quietly. "And you're about to learn everything she hid from you." Emma's world spun. The rain pounded on the roof again, harder this time, as if the storm outside matched the storm inside her. And in that moment, she knew this wasn't a kidnapping. This was something far more complicated, far more dangerous, and far more personal. "I thought he was just a cab driver, until he took me home." Emma stared at the man sitting in the front seat. His face, though older and marked by time, was unmistakably the same face from that faded photo on her mother's dresser, the photo she once asked about, only to be told, "He's no one, just someone from the past." But he wasn't no one. He was someone important. "What do you mean?" "The reason my mother ran away," Emma asked, her voice barely a whisper. The man didn't answer right away. He reached into the glove compartment, pulled out an old envelope, and held it out to her. Emma hesitated, then slowly took it. It was yellowed with age, sealed with a brittle piece of tape. On the front, her name was written in her mother's handwriting. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside was a folded letter. "Emma, if you're reading this, it means the past has found you. I kept many things from you. things I thought would protect you. But some truths don't stay buried. The man who brought you this letter is someone I once loved and feared. He changed everything. Please, don't be afraid, but be careful. He's not who he once was." Emma stared at the letter, her mouth dry. "What did you do to her?" she asked, clutching the paper. The man shook his head slowly. "I didn't hurt her. I loved her. But loved doesn't always mean safety." He got out of the cab without another word. Emma sat frozen, heart pounding. She didn't know whether to run or follow him, but part of her needed answers. Answers her mother never gave. She opened the door and stepped out into the wet night. The house loomed in front of her, broken and quiet. The porch creaked under her feet as she followed the man inside. The interior was dark, but not empty. But photos hung on the walls. Not recent ones, old black and white photos, some torn at the edges, others faded by time. Emma spotted one with her mother in it, younger, smiling, and next to her, the man now standing in front of her, looking 10 years younger. "You lived together?" Emma asked. "For a while," he replied, "until she disappeared with you." Emma blinked. "You mean I was here?" He nodded. "You were barely a year old." A chill ran through her. "Why did she leave?" He paused. "Because she was scared. Of you." He looked away. "Of what I was becoming." Emma's stomach twisted. "What were you?" He took a deep breath. "I worked for dangerous people. I made enemies. Things happened that I can't take back. Your mother didn't want to raise you in that world. So one night, she ran." Emma stepped back. "So you tracked me down after all these years?" "No," he said. "I've been watching from a distance, for a long time. I never meant to take you like this, but something's changed." Her eyes narrowed. "What changed?" He walked over to an old cabinet, opened a drawer, and pulled out a photograph. He handed it to her. It was a picture of a man she didn't recognize, mid-30s, sharp eyes, expensive suit. "He's looking for you," the cab driver said, "and he's not kind." Emma stared at the photo. "Who is he?" "My old enemy, and yours now too. He found out who you are, who your mother was. He wants something from your past, something she hid." "I don't understand," Emma whispered. "You will. But first, you need to know what she ran away with, and why." Emma's mind was spinning. Her safe little world had shattered within an hour. Now she was standing in an abandoned house, learning that her life had been a lie, her identity possibly dangerous, and a stranger was protecting her from something she didn't even understand. Suddenly, the sound of a car outside made both of them freeze. The man rushed to the window and peeked through the blinds. "We have to go," he said. Emma backed up. "What? Who is it?" "They followed us. I wasn't careful enough." Panic rose in her chest. "Who followed us?" He grabbed a bag from under the table and tossed it to her. "Take this. There's cash, a phone, and an address. Go out the back. There's a bike. A bike. Quiet. Just go. Now, what about you?" "I'll lead them away," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Don't look back. If you ever want the full truth, you need to survive tonight." Before Emma could say anything else, the front window shattered. A brick flew in, smashing the glass and scattering shards across the floor. "Run," he shouted. Emma turned and ran, clutching the bag. Her feet hit the mud behind the house as headlights appeared in the distance. Dogs started barking nearby. A voice yelled something she couldn't understand. She found the bike leaning against a tree, old but working. She climbed on and pedaled hard, the cold air biting her skin, the bag heavy on her back. She didn't know where she was going. She didn't know who was chasing her, but she knew one thing. Her life would never be the same again. "I thought he was just a cab driver until he took me home," Mama pedaled, harder than she ever had in her life. The narrow road behind the broken house disappeared into the darkness. The only light came from the moon, half covered by clouds. Her clothes were soaked from the rain, her hands numb from the cold. She didn't dare stop. Every sound, every rustle in the trees felt like footsteps chasing her. She had no idea where she was. Only the bag on her back gave her a sense of direction, the phone inside, the address. She reached a crossroad after 15 minutes of hard cycling. Her legs were aching, her chest burning. She leaned against a road sign and finally pulled out the phone. It was a basic one. No touchscreen, just a keypad. She powered it on. No password. A single message flashed on the screen. "Go to the train station. Locker number 207. Use code 8742. Don't trust anyone." Emma read it twice. Then again she looked up and saw a dim sign pointing left, Eastbridge Station for miles. For miles. She could make it. She had to. By the time she reached the train station, dawn was breaking. A dull grey light spread across the empty streets. The station was quiet, almost too quiet. Only a sleepy guard at the front entrance, sipping coffee. Emma pushed her bike toward the side and chained it to a fence. Her legs were trembling. She went inside, her footsteps echoing. Locker 207. She searched each row carefully. Finally, she spotted it, tucked in the corner. Her fingers shook as she entered the code. 8742. Click. The door swung open. Inside was a plain black bag and a small sealed envelope. She took both and sat on the bench nearby. She opened the envelope first. It was a letter again in her mother's handwriting. Emma, if you're reading this, it means you've seen him, the man I ran from, and the man I once loved. He's not evil, but he's not safe either. He's done things I never wanted you to see. But what's happening now is bigger than him, or me. Years ago, I came across something I wasn't supposed to find. A file, names, money, connections. And I took it. I hid it. That's what they're after. You have to find the key. It's in the place where we took that photo, the one with the red tree in the background. You were 5. You smiled with missing teeth. I wore my green coat. Remember, I hope you do. They can't get it, Emma. If they do, innocent people will die. Emma closed her eyes, trying to remember. A red tree, a green coat, a photo. Then it hit her. The park. The photo was framed in their old living room for years. A photo of her and her mother standing under a bright red maple tree. Maple Ridge Park. It was 2 towns away. She stood, heart pounding, and opened the black bag. Inside, a clean change of clothes, a few protein bars, cash, and a second phone. This one had GPS. The screen showed only one app tracker. Owen, the red dot, blinked in a forested area. Maple Ridge Park. She stuffed everything back and rushed out of the station. Emma managed to get a ride from a woman driving a delivery truck. She made up a story, said she was meeting her sick aunt. The woman didn't ask questions. By early afternoon, Emma was walking into the park. It looked the same. Quiet trails, benches, tall trees swaying gently in the breeze. And then she saw it, the red maple dot. Her breath caught in her chest. She walked over, her eyes scanning every inch of the area. And then she saw it. A piece of wood near the tree's base didn't match. It was a small wooden panel, half covered by grass. Emma knelt and pulled at it. It lifted, revealing a small metal box. She opened it and inside was a USB drive, wrapped in cloth. That's what her mother had hidden all these years. She was about to take it out, when she heard footsteps behind her. She froze. A man's voice said softly, "Don't turn round." Her body stiffened. She gripped the drive tighter. The man stepped closer. "You found it. That's impressive. But I'm afraid it doesn't belong to you." Emma turned slowly. It wasn't the cab driver. It was someone else, younger, dressed in black. Cold eyes. He smiled. "Hand it over, and no one has to get hurt." Emma backed up. "Who are you?" "I'm the one your mother feared most," he said. "And I'm not as patient as your father." Emma's eyes widened. "He's not my but he is. He just forgot to tell you everything." The man raised a silenced pistol and pointed it at her chest. "You have 5 seconds." Emma looked down at the USB in her hand. Then she looked behind him and smiled. "You're already too late." The man blinked. "What?" Before he could turn around, a figure tackled him from behind the cab driver. The gun flew from his hand. Emma screamed and dropped to the ground as the 2 men struggled. A shot rang out, then silence. Emma opened her eyes. The man in black lay still. The cab driver stood above him, bleeding from his shoulder, holding the gun. He looked at her. "Now you know what they're capable of." She stood, shaking. "What's on this drive?" He looked at the USB in her hand. "Secrets," he said. "Enough to bring down powerful people, and enough to get you killed if you don't move fast. I thought he was just a cab driver, until he took me home." Emma stared at the USB in her trembling hand. It was small, silent, and cold to the touch, yet she knew it held the weight of her mother's past, and possibly the future of everyone. Now chasing her, the cab driver, her father, stood a few feet away, pressing his hand against his bleeding shoulder. "You're hurt," Emma said, rushing to him. He waved her off, eyes still fixed on the unconscious man lying on the ground. It's just a graze. We don't have time. Emma glanced around. The quiet park. It was nearly empty, except for a few birds in the trees and the still warm sun above. What happens now? We disappear, he said, before his backup shows up. But where do we go? He met her eyes. Somewhere. Safe. Somewhere I can explain everything. You deserve to know who you really are, Emma. She hesitated, still breathing hard. You mean who she really was? My mother. He gave a small nod. Yes, and what she did. They didn't wait long. The cab driver took the man's weapon, threw leaves over the bloodstains, and led Emma to a narrow trail leading away from the park. At the edge of the woods, a black motorcycle waited, hidden behind bushes. Emma blinked. That's yours, he smirked. You didn't think I'd come unprepared, did you? Moments later, Emma climbed on the back of the bike. The engine roared to life, and within seconds, they were gone, racing down back roads, avoiding cameras, taking sharp turns through forest paths and old construction routes. They didn't stop until nightfall. An old abandoned church stood deep in the woods, roof partially caved in, vines crawling up its walls. They entered through a side door, moving silently. The inside smelled of dust and old wood, but it was dry and safe. He lit a lantern, revealing a hidden sleeping bag, cans of food, maps, and a satellite phone. Emma sat on the floor, exhausted, her fingers still curled tightly around the USB. You're ready to tell me now? She asked, voice low. He nodded. Everything. He sat across from her and began, voice steady despite the wound on his shoulder. Your mother was smarter than all of us. We worked together, a long time ago, in an underground information network. Not the government, not criminals either. Something in between. We collected secrets, whistleblowers, corrupt officials, bribes, disappearances. Emma stared, like spies. Something like that, he said. But it got dangerous. Too many powerful people were exposed, so we were hunted, one by one, and the file. She got hold of something she wasn't supposed to. A-list names of people who ordered killings, fixed elections, moved money across borders. Some of them were world leaders, Emma. Others were hidden, working behind masks. Emma clutched the USB tighter. And this is that list. He nodded, encrypted, protected. She never trusted anyone with the password, not even me. But she told me she left a trail. For you. Emma looked down. So all my life, she was hiding me. She was protecting you, he said. And now that protection is gone. Silence filled the space between them. Then he added, and the people coming after us, they won't stop. Emma stood and paced. So what do I do? Turn this over to the police, the media? No, he said firmly. You don't know who you can trust. The police could be on the list. The media too. Then what? She snapped. Just keep running forever. He looked at her calmly. We finish what your mother started. We find the password, unlock the file, and expose the truth. Emma fell quiet. Part of her wanted to scream. The other part, the part that always felt something wasn't normal about her life, felt strangely alive. She looked at him. Do you know where the password might be? He nodded slowly. She mentioned a second clue once. Something hidden in a book. A book she read to you every night. Emma's breath caught. The Secret Garden. She used to read it when I was little. He reached into his bag and pulled out an old copy of the book. I thought so. Emma opened it, flipping through the pages until she reached the inside back cover. A small paper was taped inside, nearly invisible. She peeled it off gently. On it, written in her mother's handwriting, the garden is where truth blooms, but not all doors are locked with keys. Some require memory. Emma blinked. It's a riddle. He nodded. She loved riddles. Just then, the satellite phone in his bag began to vibrate. He grabbed it, looked at the screen, and his face darkened. They found us. Emma froze. Here, he stuffed the phone in his pocket. We have minutes, maybe less. What do we do? He walked to the far side of the church and pulled up a trapdoor hidden under broken pews. There's a tunnel underneath. It'll take us half a mile out. Emma's heart pounded. She grabbed the USB and followed him down into the darkness. As they crawled through the narrow stone tunnel, the world above grew louder. Shouts, dogs barking, lights flashing through the cracks. Then suddenly, a gunshot. Emma screamed. Her father stumbled, fell. Blood trickled from his leg. He pushed the USB into her hand. If I slow you down, you'll die too. No, she cried. But he stared at her, eyes filled with urgency. Go, Emma. Find the truth. End this. And then he reached up and closed the hidden stone wall between them. Emma screamed again, pounding the wall. No, I'm not leaving you. But the tunnel had only one direction now, and behind her, footsteps were already coming. I thought he was just a cab driver until he took me home. Emma ran. She ran through the pitch-black tunnel, tears streaming down her face, the USB clutched in her fist like a lifeline. Her father's final words echoed in her mind. Go, Emma, find the truth, end this. The stone walls around her were cold, damp, and closing in, but her fear was no longer just for herself. She didn't know if he was still alive behind that hidden door or if she would ever see him again. But one thing was now crystal clear: she couldn't stop. She reached the end of the tunnel after what felt like hours. A rusty iron gate blocked the exit. She pushed with all her strength, and it gave way with a groan. Emma stumbled out into the open, her lungs aching as she breathed in fresh air. She was deep in the woods again. It was almost morning. The sky above was beginning to turn, a soft shade of grey dot. She didn't wait. She checked the backup phone in her bag and opened the GPS app her father had set up. There was a blinking dot near a city labeled Marvin's Bay. A name appeared beside it: Safe House. That was her destination. By midday, Emma had hitchhiked to the city's edge and found the address marked on the map. It was a small bookstore, dusty windows, faded signage, and a closed sign hanging crookedly on the door. No one would suspect it of holding anything important. She knocked 3 times. Silence, then a soft click. The door opened a few inches, revealing a wrinkled face with sharp eyes. Password. The old woman whispered. Emma froze. I don't know. The woman sighed. Then why are you here? Emma held up the USB. Because I'm her daughter, Lily's daughter. The woman's eyes softened instantly. She opened the door fully. Come in. Inside, the bookstore was dim and quiet. Bookshelves reached the ceiling. A kettle steamed quietly in the corner. The woman led Emma to the back, down a narrow hallway, and into a room filled with old computers, files, maps, and documents pinned to every wall. She said one day you'd come, the woman said gently. She trusted me with the last piece. Emma's voice cracked. Who are you? She called me Nora, the woman said. We were sisters once in the old life, before everything went dark. She reached into a drawer and pulled out an old journal. Your mother left this with me. She said you'd need it if the time ever came. Emma opened the journal. Inside were sketches, codes, scribbled notes, and a long passage underlined in red. The password is a memory. The day I became a mother, the day the world changed, the garden, the photo, the words I whispered in her ear. My little wildflower. Emma whispered. Wildflower. ... double quotes. Nora nodded. She said you'd remember. Emma plugged the USB into the old desktop computer. A black screen appeared. Enter PASSWRDMO typed slowly. Wildflower. The screen blinked, then it opened. Hundreds of files spilled onto the screen: names, transactions, photographs, emails, proof of crimes, murders, stolen elections, weapons deals, child trafficking, politicians, CEOs, generals, people Emma had seen on the news. Her entire life. It was bigger than she had imagined. Her hands shook. This ... this could destroy everything. Nora nodded. Or save what's left. But how do we release it? Emma asked. Who do we trust? Nora handed her a flash drive. We leak it to the people. Independently. Across platforms. Multiple countries. It's already set. All you have to do is click upload. Emma stared at the computer screen. She thought about her mother reading The Secret Garden, holding her in that photo under the red maple. She thought about her father wounded, alone, fighting to protect her. And she thought about the world believing lies, living in the shadows of powerful people. Her hand hovered over the keyboard. She pressed enter. A progress bar appeared, uploading one of 263 files. Nora smiled faintly. It's done. Or so they thought. Suddenly, the front of the shop shattered. The door flew open with a bang. Heavy boots stormed in. Emma grabbed the flash drive and shoved it into her pocket. Go, Nora yelled. Back exit. Emma turned and ran, heart pounding, footsteps close behind. She ducked into the narrow hallway, knocked over a chair, then bolted out the rear door into the alley. A black car skidded to a stop in front of her. For one terrifying second, she thought it was the enemy. Then the window rolled down. Her father, bruised, bleeding, but alive. Get in, he shouted. She jumped in as bullets cracked the pavement behind her. He hit the gas. They sped away from the bookstore, sirens wailing in the distance. Nora's fate unknown. As they drove through the winding streets, Emma turned to him. "You're alive." He smiled faintly. "Barely. I uploaded it," she whispered. "The whole thing. It's out now." He exhaled. "Then it's over." She wasn't so sure. Her phone buzzed. She pulled it out. Hundreds of notifications were pouring in, emails, alerts, social media posts. The files were spreading. People were waking up. But then, her screen went black. A single message appeared. "You thought this was over? It's only just begun. I thought he was just a cab driver, until he took me home." The message glowed on Emma's phone screen like a silent threat. "You thought this was over? It's only just begun." Her fingers tightened around the device. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. The files had gone public years. The world was waking up. News channels had already picked up parts of the leak. Social media was flooded with outrage, shock, and fear. But someone was still watching, still pulling strings. Beside her, her father drove with one hand, blood seeping through the bandage on his leg. His jaw was clenched. "They've gone dark." The message came from a deep network, someone powerful and scared. Emma looked at him. "We didn't stop them, did we?" "No," he said quietly. "But we slowed them down. And now they know the truth can't be buried forever." They kept driving until they reached a safe house miles outside the city. A quiet cabin in the mountains, isolated, hidden. No cameras, no signals. Just silence and time to breathe. The next morning, Emma woke early. She stepped outside and stood on the porch, staring at the pine trees stretching into the sky. For the first time in days, there was no fear chasing her, just a deep, aching sadness. She sat on the wooden steps and opened her mother's journal again. So many words, so much love hidden between warnings and riddles. Her mother had never wanted this life for her, but still, she had prepared her for it piece by piece, like a silent game of survival. And somehow, Emma had won. At least this battle. Her father joined her minutes later, walking with a limp, a coffee mug in his hand. "You did something brave," he said, sitting beside her. "Most people wouldn't have. You could have walked away." Emma looked at him. "I almost did, but then I realized if I walk away, I'm giving them exactly what they want. Silence, fear, obedience." He nodded, eyes on the horizon. "You remind me of her." Emma smiled faintly. "She was the bravest person I've ever known." He looked down. "She was everything to me, and I destroyed it. I was part of the machine. I didn't even realize I'd become the kind of man she feared." "But you changed," Emma said. "Too late for her," he replied. Emma was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You saved me. That has to count for something." He didn't answer. He just placed his hand over hers. For the first time, Emma didn't pull away. Over the next few weeks, the world began to shift. Powerful names were arrested. Protests erupted in dozens of cities. Whistleblowers came forward, inspired by the leaked documents. An international investigation was opened. Some tried to discredit the files, but too much truth had already escaped. Emma stayed hidden. She didn't want fame or recognition. Her face was never shown. But everywhere she looked, she saw signs of change. One morning, she logged into a secure message board used by her mother's old network. A single message waited for her. "You did it." She'd be proud. Nora had survived. Emma felt a deep warmth spread through her chest. One night, weeks later, she stood on a bridge overlooking a quiet river. The moonlight shimmered on the surface. In her hands was the last page of her mother's journal. She read it aloud. "If you're reading this, it means the truth is free. It means you were brave. It means you chose the light, even when it hurt. Don't let fear win. Don't let silence steal your voice. You are my daughter, and you are stronger than you know." Emma folded the page and let the wind carry it down into the river. She stood there for a long time, letting the words settle in her bones. Later that night, she returned to the cabin. Her father was packing a small bag. "Where are you going?" she asked. "There's something I have to finish," he said. "There are still names out there, files we didn't reach, people hiding behind fake passports and new identities." Emma hesitated. "Alone." He looked at her. "I never wanted this for you. But if you say yes, I won't stop you." She took a deep breath. "I'm in," he smiled. "You really are your mother's daughter." A year later, Emma sat in a quiet cafe under a fake name, a laptop open. In front of her, she was dressed like any other traveler, simple jeans, a hoodie, sunglasses. She sipped her tea and opened an encrypted folder. Inside, a new set of names, a new mission. She glanced up as a young woman sat across from her, another quiet ally of her mother's network. Another soul awakened by the truth. You ready? The woman asked. Emma nodded. Let's make it count. The lesson: truth is a powerful thing, dangerous, and often buried beneath fear. But even in the darkest times, even when silence feels safer, someone has to choose to speak. Emma didn't ask to be the one, but when her moment came, she stood up, not because she wanted to be a hero, but because she finally understood bravery isn't about being unafraid. It's about doing the right thing, even when your hands are shaking. The end.